My sister Evelyn called me from 30,000 feet. Meredith, I need you to answer something honestly. Is Jake home right now? I glanced through the doorway at my husband reading the Wall Street Journal in our living room. Yes, he's right here. Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. That's impossible. Because I'm looking at him right now in first class, and there's a woman with him who definitely isn't you. Behind me, I heard footsteps approaching from the hallway. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're a subscriber, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. I'm standing in our penthouse kitchen in Chicago's Gold Coast, sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan. It's Tuesday morning, 9:47 a.m. Jake and I have been married for 9 years, together for 11 total. I'm a patent attorney specializing in pharmaceutical intellectual property, detail-oriented by nature, skeptical by training. My sister Evelyn is a senior captain for Emirates Airlines, currently preparing for departure on Flight 203 from O'Hare to Dubai. She's calling from the cockpit during her pre-flight check, which is unusual. Evelyn never calls during work unless it's an emergency. Meredith, she says, and there's something in her voice that makes my stomach clench. I need to ask you something strange, and I need you to be completely honest with me. I'm stirring my second coffee of the morning, the expensive Italian blend Jake insists we order from that boutique roaster in Seattle. Through the doorway, I can see him in the living room, wearing his usual Tuesday uniform, charcoal cashmere sweater, reading glasses perched on his nose, that particular way he has of folding the newspaper into quarters. Your husband, Evelyn continues. Is he home right now? Like, actually physically in front of you? Yes, I say slowly, confusion creeping into my voice. He's sitting in the living room reading the paper. Why? The silence that follows lasts maybe 3 seconds, but it feels like standing on the edge of a cliff. Meredith, that can't be true. Her voice is tight, controlled, the same tone she used when she had to tell me Mom's cancer had come back. Because I'm looking at him right now. He just boarded my flight 10 minutes ago. First class, seat 2A. And he's with a woman who is definitely not you. My brain tries to process this information, but it's like trying to solve an equation where the numbers don't exist. Jake is here. Jake is also apparently boarding a plane to Dubai. Both things cannot be true simultaneously. Evelyn, I start, but then I hear it. Footsteps behind me. I turn, and there's Jake, walking into the kitchen with his empty coffee mug, that familiar half-smile on his face. Who's calling so early, he asks, his voice carrying that slight Texas drawl he's never quite lost despite 15 years in Chicago. Jake Hayden. 42 years old. Managing partner at Gideon Capital, one of the city's most prestigious investment firms. 6'2", salt and pepper hair that he keeps precisely trimmed every 2 weeks. We met at a charity gala 11 years ago. He'd spilled champagne on my dress and spent the rest of the evening apologizing with such genuine mortification that I'd found it charming. Now he stands in our kitchen, solid and real, while my sister insists she's watching him board a plane half a mile away at O'Hare. Just Evelyn, I manage, surprised at how normal my voice sounds. Pre-flight check-in. Jake nods, moving to the coffee maker. His Tuesday morning routine is sacred, unchanging. Coffee at 7 a.m., newspaper until 8:30, shower, then drive to his office in the Loop by 10. Today he has that quarterly investors meeting at 2 p.m., the one he's been stressing about for weeks. Tell her I said hello, he says absently, pouring coffee with his left hand while checking his phone with his right. Maybe we should finally take her up on those flight benefits she's always offering. Dubai could be interesting. The irony of his words makes something twist in my chest. I turn away slightly, pressing the phone closer to my ear. Evelyn, I'll call you back, I say quietly. Wait, her voice carries urgent warning. I'm sending you something. Look at it. Right now. My phone buzzes. A text message. Then a photo loads. Through an airplane window, I can see the interior of a first-class cabin. The distinctive Emirates gold and cream color scheme is unmistakable. There, in seat 2A, sits a man in a navy Tom Ford suit. I recognize that suit because I bought it for Jake's 40th birthday. The photo is taken at an angle, but the profile is unmistakable. The way he holds his head, the curve of his jaw, that particular gesture he makes when he's talking, touching his watch with his right hand. Jake. My Jake. Sitting next to a woman with auburn hair styled in an elegant chignon, wearing what looks like a Chanel jacket. She's laughing at something, her hand resting on his forearm with casual intimacy. They look like they belong together. Like they've sat together 1,000 times before. I look up at the Jake in our kitchen. Same navy suit. Same watch. Same wedding ring on his left hand that we chose together at a jeweler in London during our honeymoon. My phone buzzes again. Another text from Evelyn. Boarding is complete. We're taxiing now. I took this 3 minutes ago. Mare, what's happening? 9 years of marriage. 9 years of Tuesday morning coffee and Saturday farmers market visits and Sunday crossword puzzles. 9 years of building a life together in this penthouse with its view of the lake and its designer furniture and its carefully curated art collection. And now my sister is telling me that life is a performance, and I've been watching the wrong stage. Jake glances up from his phone, catching me staring. Everything okay? You look pale. Do I? I catch my reflection in the stainless steel refrigerator. Same shoulder-length blonde hair. Same green eyes behind my glasses. Same face that's looked back at me for 38 years. But something fundamental has shifted, like when you discover a painting you've admired for years is actually a forgery. Just tired, I say, reaching for my coffee mug. Long night working on the Braxton patent case. My firm downsized office space last year, so I've been working from home more. My hands are steady. 20 years as a patent attorney has taught me to maintain composure when everything seems wrong. I've sat across from CEOs lying about stolen formulas, engineers falsifying data, and companies built on fraudulent claims. I know how to smile and nod and take notes while planning my next move. You work too hard, Jake says, the same thing he said 100 times before. He moves toward me, kissing my forehead. His lips are warm, familiar. I love you. I love you too, I reply automatically, the words hollow as the coffee mug in my hand. He returns to his newspaper. I stand there, phone heavy in my hand, watching a man who might not be my husband perform a role he's rehearsed to perfection. My phone buzzes one more time. Evelyn, Flight 203 is wheels up. We'll land in Dubai in 14 hours. Mare, please be careful. But it's already too late for careful. The plane carrying my husband, or someone who looks exactly like him, is already climbing into the sky. And the man in my kitchen is settling back into his routine as if nothing has changed. Except everything has changed. I just don't know how yet. I decide to make breakfast. Not because I'm hungry, my stomach feels like it's been filled with cement, but because I need something to do with my hands while my brain tries to make sense of the impossible. Jake settles back into the living room with his newspaper. I can hear the rustle of pages turning, the occasional sip of coffee. All the small sounds of a Tuesday morning that have become the background music of our marriage. I pull out eggs, butter, bread. My hands move through the familiar motions of making French toast. As I whisk eggs and cinnamon together, I study him through the doorway. Really study him, the way I'd examine a patent application for inconsistencies. The way he sits is correct, left leg crossed over right, newspaper folded precisely. The reading glasses are right. Even the small scar above his left eyebrow from a cycling accident in college is exactly where it should be. Everything is perfect. Too perfect, maybe. My phone sits on the counter, Evelyn's photo still on the screen. I zoom in, studying the man in seat 2A. Same scar. Same slight asymmetry to his smile. Same everything. Something smells amazing, Jake calls out. You haven't made French toast in months. Felt like it today, I reply, my voice steady. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. No particular reason. But there is a reason. I'm stalling. Buying time to think, to plan, to figure out what's happening before I make a move that can't be taken back. As I plate the French toast, I think about the past few months. Had there been signs? Red flags I dismissed because I was too busy or too trusting. 3 weeks ago, Jake came home from a client dinner smelling like perfume. Not my perfume, something sweeter, younger. When I mentioned it, he'd laughed it off. Said he'd hugged a client goodbye and she must have been wearing too much fragrance. Last month, he went to a conference in San Francisco. When I tried to look it up later, I couldn't find it listed anywhere. He'd said it was a small, invitation-only event for high-net-worth client advisors. That had made sense at the time. 2 months ago, I found a charge on our credit card for a jewelry store I didn't recognize. $3,400. Jake said it was a gift for his mother's birthday. His mother Lynette had shown me the bracelet over FaceTime, delighted. But now I'm wondering, was that the only piece he bought? All these small moments I'd filed away as explained, reasonable, normal. But what if normal was the disguise? Jake finishes his French toast with genuine appreciation, complimenting the cinnamon-to-sugar ratio exactly the way he always does. He checks his watch and announces he needs to get ready for the office. Big day today, he says, carrying his plate to the sink. That quarterly review is going to be brutal. The Henderson portfolio took a hit last week, and I'm going to have to explain why we didn't move their assets before the drop. He's talking about his work the way he always does, giving me just enough detail to seem transparent without actually telling me anything I could verify. When will you be home? I ask. Probably around 7. The meeting's at 2, but I'll need to stay late to handle the fallout. This is normal. This is our life. Tuesday meetings that run late, Thursday client dinners, Friday drinks with colleagues. A calendar full of professional obligations that I've never questioned because I have my own demanding career. Jake showers, exactly 12 minutes like always. He emerges wearing his charcoal suit, hair styled with that expensive pomade. Everything about him is expensive, polished, successful. He's packing his briefcase when I walk into the bedroom. Did you remember you have that deposition tomorrow? I ask casually. The Braxton Pharmaceutical case? Jake looks up, and there's the briefest flicker of something, confusion? Calculation, before his face smooths into a smile. Of course. Wednesday at 10, right? Wrong. The deposition is Thursday at 2. Jake has sat through enough of my work discussions to know my schedule almost as well as I do. The real Jake would have caught that error immediately. Right, I say, watching his face carefully. Wednesday at 10. He nods, closing his briefcase. Walks over to kiss me goodbye. His cologne is the same Creed Aventus he's worn for years. Love you, he says. Don't work too hard today. Love you too, I reply, the words tasting like ash. I watch from the window as he exits our building 20 floors below. He turns left toward the parking garage where his Tesla is kept. Everything normal, everything routine. Except my husband is currently somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean, and the man who just left is someone else entirely. I pick up my phone and call the one person who can help me figure out what's happening. Krista, I say when she answers. I need you to come to my apartment right now. And bring your laptop. I think my husband has been replaced by an imposter, and I need to prove it before he comes back. There's a pause. Then, I'll be there in 20 minutes. Krista Donald. My best friend since law school, now a criminal defense attorney with a specialty in white-collar fraud. If anyone can help me navigate what's happening, it's her. I have 20 minutes to start building my case. 20 minutes before I stop being a confused wife and start being what I'm trained to be, an investigator looking for the flaw in the patent, the lie in the application, the forgery in the documentation. My marriage might be a fraud, but I'm going to prove it with the same methodical precision I used to dismantle false claims in court. And then I'm going to destroy whoever thought they could deceive me. Krista arrives in 18 minutes, her dark hair pulled back in a severe bun. She's carrying a leather messenger bag that I know contains at least 2 laptops. "Show me everything," she says. I pull up Evelyn's photos, then show her the recording I made of this imposter leaving. Krista studies both with intense focus. Could be twins. Could be extremely sophisticated prosthetics. Or a professional impersonator. She sets down the tablet. We need to test him. Not confront, test. Gather evidence. I already started, I admit. I told him my deposition was Wednesday at 10. It's actually Thursday at 2. He agreed with the wrong date. That's good, but not enough. We need something definitive, something the real Jake would know without question. Krista opens her laptop. What does Jake hate? What would make the real him react immediately? I think carefully. Shellfish. He's deathly allergic. Landed in the ER 3 times, once in college, once on our honeymoon, once 2 years ago. He carries an EpiPen everywhere. Krista's eyes light up with dark understanding. You're going to cook him dinner. I spend the afternoon preparing cioppino, an Italian seafood stew that Jake, the real Jake, would never be able to eat. Shrimp, scallops, clams, mussels, all simmering in tomato wine broth that fills the apartment with rich aromas. While the stew simmers, Krista helps me set up recording devices. One in the dining room light fixture, one hidden in the flower arrangement on the table. All sync to cloud storage. If he eats this without reaction, Krista says, we'll have proof. Medical records show Jake Hayden has a severe shellfish allergy documented over 3 ER visits. If this man eats shellfish without issue, he's not Jake. At 6:45, my phone buzzes. A text from Jake, leaving office now. Be home in 20. I change into a navy dress Jake always compliments. Another test. The real Jake bought me this dress for our anniversary 2 years ago. Let's see if this version remembers. Jake arrives at 7:08, looking tired. He kisses my cheek and immediately notices the smell from the kitchen. Something smells incredible, he says. What are we having? Your favorite, I reply warmly. Cioppino. I know you've been stressed about the quarterly review. I watch his face carefully. The real Jake would immediately protest, remind me about his allergy, probably look hurt that I'd forgotten. But this Jake smiles with genuine delight. You haven't made this in forever, he says, following me to the dining room. This looks amazing. He sits. Picks up his fork. Examines the bowl with appreciation. No hesitation. No mention of allergies. No reaching for an EpiPen. Beautiful presentation, he says, spearing a shrimp. The seafood looks perfectly cooked. My heart pounds as I watch him bring the fork to his mouth. He eats the shrimp. Then a scallop. Then a clam. Nothing happens. No swelling, no hives, no gasping for breath. He just chews and smiles at me across the table. This is outstanding, he says. The broth is perfect. Is that fennel I'm tasting? The real Jake would be dying right now. Literally dying. Instead, this man is complimenting my cooking and reaching for more. I force myself to eat, though every bite tastes like cardboard. I'm so glad you like it. You know seafood is my favorite. He takes another bite, completely relaxed. Seafood is not his favorite. Seafood could kill him. This man is failing every test. But I need one more. Something undeniable. So how was the quarterly review? I ask. Brutal, as expected. Henderson wasn't happy about the portfolio performance, but I managed to smooth things over. I nod, making mental notes. Later, I'll check if there even was a review today. Oh, I meant to tell you, I say casually, I was thinking about our honeymoon. Remember that restaurant in Athens where we watched the sunset? The one on that hill with the ancient ruins? He doesn't miss a beat. Of course. Best moussaka I've ever had. We honeymooned in Santorini, not Athens. There was no restaurant on a hill with ruins. I just made that up. The real Jake would have corrected me immediately, probably launched into a fond reminiscence about our actual honeymoon. This man just agreed with a completely fabricated memory. I watch him finish his cioppino, praising each element. This man who should be in anaphylactic shock is asking if there's any bread to soak up the broth. That was incredible, he says, pushing back from the table. You should make that more often. I will, I lie. After he goes to bed, falling asleep within minutes like someone without a care in the world, I slip out to the living room where Krista is waiting in the dark. Did you get all of it? I whisper. She nods, her laptop screen illuminating her face. Every second. Medical records show Jake Hayden's shellfish allergy is severe and documented. This man just ate 2 bowls without even reaching for an antihistamine. Plus he agreed with a fake honeymoon memory. So what do we do now? Krista's smile is sharp in the darkness. Now we figure out who he really is, where your real husband is, and why someone went to this much trouble. And then, Mare, we destroy them. I look back toward the bedroom where an imposter sleeps in my marriage. Good, I say quietly. Because I'm ready to burn this whole thing down. Wednesday morning, the imposter leaves for work at 9:15. I watch from the window until his Tesla disappears, then I'm moving. Jake's home office has always been his private domain. Not locked, but understood to be off limits. Now I realize that boundary was probably designed to keep me from looking too closely. I photograph everything before I touch it. Krista taught me this, preserve the original state in case you need to prove tampering. I start with his computer. Password protected. I try his mother's maiden name plus birth year, Whitmore 1982. Access denied. I try our anniversary, my birthday, his father's name. Nothing works. I move to the filing cabinet. Everything looks legitimate at first. Investment statements, client files, tax returns. But as I dig deeper, I notice the investment statements are all printed copies, not originals. And the numbers don't quite match what I remember. I pull out my laptop and log into our joint bank accounts. Our checking shows normal activity, mortgage, utilities, groceries. Everything routine. But when I access our investment accounts, something feels off. I pull up statements from 6 months ago and compare them to current ones. Transfers I don't recognize. Small amounts, $8, $500 here, $9,200 there. Always just under $10,000, which I know from my legal work is significant. Transfers over 10 grand trigger automatic reporting to federal authorities. Someone has been systematically moving money in amounts designed to avoid detection. I trace the receiving accounts. They're registered to Meridian Holdings LLC, based in Delaware. A shell company, minimal public information, no real business activity, the kind designed specifically to hide money. My phone rings. It's Krista. I've been running background checks, she says. On Jake, on his firm, on everything. Mare, when was the last time you actually visited Jake at his office? I think about this. Maybe 8 months ago. I stopped by to surprise him for lunch. And before that? I don't know. A year? We're both busy. What are you getting at? I called Gideon Capital this morning pretending to be a potential client. Asked to schedule a meeting with Jake Hayden, managing partner. They told me they don't have anyone by that name. The room tilts. That's impossible. Jake has worked there for 9 years. I'm looking at their website right now. Their managing partners are Edward Colby, Paul Morrison, and Sean Davidson. No Jake Hayden. There's no record of him ever working there, Mare. I end the call with shaking hands and go straight to where the imposter left his briefcase. He always leaves it by the door, close enough to monitor. Inside, I find the usual contents at first: laptop, file folders, business cards. But then my fingers brush against something taped to the inside lining. An envelope. Hidden but accessible. Inside are documents that make my blood run cold. A passport in Jake's name with a photo of the imposter. Multiple credit cards in variations of Jake's name. And then handwritten notes documenting my life in excruciating detail. Meredith takes coffee with oat milk, no sugar. Drinks from the blue mug weekdays, ceramic one weekends. Morning routine: shower, dress, coffee while checking emails. Works from home Tuesdays and Thursdays unless deposition scheduled. Anniversary October 15th. Always wants flowers but pretends she doesn't. Favorite restaurant is Gibson's. She cries during the ending of Casablanca every single time. Her father died 4 years ago. Paul Anders. Sensitive subject. Don't bring up unless she does first. Mother still alive, lives in assisted living in Naperville. Visits every other Sunday. Pages of notes. My entire life reduced to bullet points for someone preparing to play a role. At the bottom, a single page with different handwriting. Phase 1 complete. Subject suspects nothing. Maintain cover 90 days maximum. Asset transfer 67% complete. Dubai extraction November 5th. After transfer finalized, terminate arrangement. Today is October 28th. I have 8 days. I photograph everything, then carefully return the documents. My legal training kicks in: preserve evidence, don't let them know you know. I'm walking back to the kitchen when I notice Jake's old phone in the junk drawer. The one he supposedly replaced 6 months ago after cracking the screen. On impulse, I pull it out and press the power button. Nothing, the battery is dead. I find an old charger and plug it in. The screen flickers to life. It's been receiving messages for months. I open the text thread with a contact saved as M. The conversation goes back 8 months. M, the wife still doesn't suspect anything? Jake, not a thing. Too busy with her patent cases to notice I'm bleeding the accounts dry. M, how much longer until we can move? Jake, 3 more months. Need to hit the threshold before we trigger the Dubai accounts. Max is doing great, by the way. She'll never know the difference. Max. The imposter has a name. I scroll through more messages, my hands shaking. Photos of the woman with auburn hair, Madison. Plans, transfers, detailed discussions of how they're systematically dismantling my life. The most recent message is from 2 days ago. Jake, flight confirmed. Emirates 203, November 5th. First class, like you wanted. By the time she figures it out, we'll be untouchable. The accounts in Dubai are already set up. $2.4 million and counting. I forward every message, every photo to my own phone, then to Krista's encrypted email. Then I put the phone back exactly as I found it. The real Jake has been planning this for years. He hired someone to replace him 3 months ago, fed this imposter Max enough information to fool me, and has been systematically stealing everything we built. And in 8 days, he plans to disappear to Dubai with his mistress, leaving me with nothing but a confused imposter and a pile of debt. But he made one critical mistake. He forgot that I'm not just his wife. I'm a patent attorney who specializes in finding fraudulent claims. I've built a career on spotting forgeries and proving things aren't what they claim to be. And now I'm going to use every skill I have to destroy him. Krista arrives within 30 minutes of my emergency call, and she's not alone. She's brought Bree Colby, a digital forensic specialist who worked with the FBI before going private. Bree has purple pixie-cut hair, oversized glasses, and a vintage band t-shirt under a blazer. "Show me everything," Bree says, already pulling equipment from her bag. I lay it out systematically: the photos from Evelyn, the video of Max eating shellfish, the financial statements, the hidden documents, and the messages from Jake's old phone. Bree connects Jake's laptop to some kind of bypass device. Password protection is amateur hour, she mutters. Within 10 minutes, she's inside. Your husband, the real one, has been busy. She turns the screen toward us. Look. He's been accessing your work email for months. Every client file, every patent application, every piece of confidential information you've handled. My stomach drops. That's attorney-client privilege. Federal crimes, Krista says. Corporate espionage if he's been sharing it. Which, based on these bank transfers, I'm guessing he has. Bree pulls up a file directory. He's downloaded files from at least 6 of your major clients. Pharmaceutical companies, mostly. Research data, patent applications that haven't been filed yet, proprietary formulas. She looks at me seriously. This information could facilitate insider trading worth tens of millions. There's something else. Bree pulls up another program. I accessed your building's security system. Look at this footage from 3 weeks ago. She shows us lobby footage. There's Max entering the building, briefcase in hand. Everything looks normal until Bree zooms in and slows the playback. Watch his reflection in the window, she instructs. The reflection doesn't quite match his movements. Subtle, almost imperceptible, but once she points it out, it's obvious. This is deepfake technology, Bree explains. Someone's been digitally editing your security footage after the fact. Expensive technology, we're talking hundreds of thousands to implement properly. Why? I ask. Creating an alibi, Krista says. If you questioned where Jake was, the footage would show him coming and going normally. Bree pulls up more footage from 6 months ago. This is interesting. Watch. She shows video of Jake, the real Jake, leaving the building with multiple suitcases. This was August 15th, around 11 p.m. He left and never came back. The next day, Max started appearing. August 15th, I repeat slowly. That was the weekend I went to that patent conference in Boston. 3 days. I came home Sunday night and Jake was here cooking dinner. Except it wasn't Jake, Krista says quietly. It was Max. And you didn't know because he'd been studying you, learning your routines, practicing the role. My phone rings. It's Meadowbrook, the facility where Jake's mother Lynette lives. She has advancing Alzheimer's. Mrs. Hayden, I'm so sorry to bother you, says Carol, one of the nurses. But your mother-in-law is quite agitated. She insists she needs to talk to you about Jake's visit last week. She seems confused about something he asked her. Jake visited her last week? I look at Krista and Bree. I'll be right there. The drive to Meadowbrook takes 40 minutes. Lynette's room is decorated with photos from her life. Jake as a child, family vacations, our wedding photos. Meredith. Lynette grabs my hands, her grip strong. I need to tell you something about Jake. What do you remember? I ask gently. He came last Tuesday. Asked me about Richard's life insurance policies. Richard was Jake's father, deceased for 2 years. Wanted to know if there were any others besides the one you knew about. I told him about the Northwestern Mutual policy. The big one Richard never told Jake about because he was afraid Jake would stop working hard if he knew. My blood goes cold. How much, Lynette? $750,000. It went to Jake after Richard died. I helped him set up a separate account because Richard wanted it that way. Jake said he wanted to make sure you were taken care of. She squeezes my hands. But Meredith, something was wrong. He asked about the account details, the bank information. Said he needed to consolidate accounts for tax purposes. I gave him everything because I thought he was my son. Did he ask about anything else? Your father's estate. Wanted to know if there was any money left from Paul's life insurance. I told him about the trust fund, the one you don't touch because you wanted to save it. She looks at me with suddenly clear eyes. Meredith, I think someone is stealing from you. Back in my car, I call Krista immediately. Jake got $750,000 from his father's life insurance. His mother just told me. He set up a separate account, never told me about it. Add that to the money he's been taking from your joint accounts, Krista says. There's more. My father's trust fund. The one I never touch, it has about $500,000. Jake asked Lynette about it. Bree's voice comes through the speaker. Let me guess, you gave Jake access when you got married? For estate planning purposes. In case something happened to me. I feel sick. I'll check, Bree says. I hear typing. What bank? I give her the information. More typing. Then silence. Bree says carefully. The account was emptied 6 weeks ago. Single wire transfer to an account in the UAE. Dubai, specifically. Let me break down what's been stolen. Joint accounts and investments, $1.2 million. Jake's father's insurance, $750,000. My father's trust, $500,000 total, $2.45 million. Plus stolen intellectual property worth potentially tens of millions in insider trading profits. He's been planning this for years, I say, my voice hollow. The marriage, the life we built, it was all just a setup. Not all of it, Krista says firmly. The early years were probably real. But somewhere along the way, he decided you were worth more as an asset to liquidate than as a wife to keep. I think about Jake, the real Jake, sitting in first class right now, probably laughing with Madison about how easy it was. How trusting I was. How he'd managed to replace himself with an actor and I hadn't noticed for 3 months. We have 8 days, I say. 8 days until he thinks he's home free. What do we do? Bree's voice carries a smile. We set a trap. And we make sure when he walks into it, there's no way out. I know someone at the FBI, Krista adds. Financial Crimes Division. We'll need federal involvement if we're going to freeze those Dubai accounts before he can access them. And Max? I ask. The imposter? We use him, Krista says. He's been keeping records, had to, in case something went wrong. We flip him, get him to testify, give the FBI everything they need to build a case. Corporate espionage, identity fraud, money laundering across international borders. When do we start? Now, Krista says. But once we start this, there's no going back. Jake will know you know. This ends with either him in prison or you losing everything. He already took everything, I reply. Now I'm taking it back. Thursday morning, I'm sitting at my kitchen counter reviewing patent applications when my phone buzzes with a notification I don't recognize. An encrypted message app appears on my screen, already open. The message is from an unknown number, check the storage unit. Jake has been keeping insurance in case things went wrong. Unit 847 at Secure Space on Clark Street. Code is 4729. You'll want to see this before he comes back. I stare at the message. Krista, are you seeing this? She appears in the doorway, coffee in hand. Seeing what? I show her. Her eyes narrow. That's a burner app. Auto deletes messages after they're read. Whoever sent this knows what they're doing. Could it be Max? Or it's a trap? Krista examines the phone. But if there's evidence, we need to see it. I'll go, I say. You stay here, monitor Max. I'll keep you on the phone the whole time. Secure Space is a climate-controlled facility in River North. The code works on the first try. Inside, Unit 847 is filled with bankers' boxes meticulously labeled. My hands shake as I open the first one. Files. Rental agreements for apartments I've never heard of, Miami, Los Angeles, London. All in Jake's name, all paid for with accounts I didn't know existed. The second box contains offshore account statements going back not 6 months, but 3 years. Cayman Islands, Switzerland, Singapore. This has been planned much longer than I thought. Krista, are you getting this? I'm streaming video to her phone. I'm seeing it. Mare, some of these accounts predate your marriage. Keep looking. The third box makes my blood run cold. Surveillance photos of me. Leaving the apartment, arriving at work, meeting with clients. Photos from inside our apartment, bedroom, bathroom, kitchen. Someone has been watching me for years. At the bottom, I find a journal. Jake's handwriting. January 15, 2020, Meredith got the Braxton Pharmaceutical account. Initial patent work worth $200,000. More importantly, access to their R&D data. This could be the big one. March 3, 2020, attended her work party. Met her clients. Made connections. These people trust her completely. July 18, 2021, marriage is stable. She suspects nothing. Access to her network is everything I hoped for. Just need to be patient. Build the account slowly. Page after page documenting how he used me. Every dinner party, every client introduction, every piece of professional trust weaponized against me. I barely make it to the corner before throwing up. 3 years. He'd been cataloging my life like a scientist studying an insect for 3 years. The fourth box contains a contract between Jake and Madison Reeves, dated 2 years ago. Not a love affair, a business partnership. The contract outlines their arrangement in clinical detail. She provides access to pharmaceutical insider information through her sales position. He provides patent data and client information through me. They split profits 60-40. There are photos of them at business meetings. Restaurant receipts from 3 years ago. Email printouts discussing stock trades, merger information, FDA approval schedules. They've been running an insider trading operation, I tell Krista, my voice shaking. For years. Using my access to get information. That's securities fraud, Krista says. Federal prison, decades-long sentences. The final document is a printed email from 2 weeks ago. From Madison Reeves to Jake Hayden subject, final phase. Everything is in place. Dubai accounts active and untraceable. Max has played his part perfectly, she hasn't suspected. By November 5th, we'll have liquidated everything. I've arranged residency paperwork. No extradition treaty. Need to tie up loose ends. Max knows too much. Once we're clear, we'll handle him. They're planning to kill Max. I'm photographing the last documents when I hear footsteps in the hallway. Heavy, deliberate. They stop right outside my door. Krista, I whisper. Someone's here. The door opens. It's Max, carrying a duffel bag, looking terrified. How did you, I start. I sent you the message. He steps inside. I need to show you something else. Something they don't know I kept. He unzips the bag. Inside are recording devices, small, sophisticated, expensive. I've been recording everything, he says, his voice shaking. Every conversation with Jake, every instruction Madison gave me, every transfer they made me authorize. I kept it all because I knew this would end badly. Why are you helping me? Because I read that email, he says, nodding toward the document. The one about loose ends. I'm a loose end, Mrs. Hayden. They're going to kill me. His hands tremble. I'm an actor from Ohio. I thought this was a weird job, but legal. Rich guy wants someone to house sit and play a role. $20,000 for 3 months. I needed the money. They paid you $20,000 to ruin my life? They paid me $20,000 to read lines and follow a script. I didn't know about the theft until I started noticing the bank transfers. By then, I was in too deep. He looks at me with desperate honesty. I'm not a criminal. I'm just a broke actor who made a terrible choice. I look at the recordings, at the evidence. If you testify, if you give us everything, I'll make sure you get immunity. But Max, I need everything. Every recording, every document. I'll give you all of it, he says. Just promise me one thing. What? That when this is over, Jake and Madison go to prison for a very long time. I look at the boxes of evidence surrounding us. I promise you, Max. They're never going to be free again. Back at my apartment, Bree spreads Max's recordings across my dining room table like a general planning a battle. Dozens of them, audio files, video clips, photographs. 3 months of evidence. This is a prosecutor's dream, Krista says, listening to Jake giving Max instructions. Clear conspiracy, premeditation. But we need to be strategic about how we use it. I'm already working on my laptop. I'm building a trap, I say. Financial documents that look normal but will freeze everything the second he opens them from Dubai. How do you get him to trigger it? Bree asks. Jake always checks our investment portfolio before major moves. It's compulsive. I'm coding as I talk. I'll upload files to our cloud storage labeled Q4 Portfolio Review and Tax Planning 2024. He won't be able to resist. Krista is on her phone. I'm texting my contact at the FBI. Agent Sarah Chen, Financial Crimes Division. If I can get her here tonight, we can hand over everything. They're not coming back to the States, I say. That's the whole point. Then we make them think everything is still going according to plan. Krista's smile is sharp. Max sits on my couch, looking smaller without the costume of Jake's confidence. I need you to call Jake, I tell him. Tell him everything is fine. I suspect nothing. He's going to know something's wrong, Max says. You're an actor, I remind him. This is the performance of your life. Max takes a deep breath and dials. I have him on speaker, recording. Max. Jake's voice comes through, that familiar drawl. Status report. Everything's fine, Max says steadily. She suspects nothing. Still working from home, following her routine. I've maintained the cover completely. Good. 6 more days and you're done. We'll wire your final payment once we're settled. 20,000, as agreed. About that, Max says, sweating. I was hoping for a bonus. This has been stressful. Maybe another 10,000? Jake laughs. You're playing house in a penthouse, Max. 6 more days. Don't screw this up now. I won't. How's Meredith been? Any unusual behavior? No. She's buried in work. Some big pharmaceutical patent case. She barely looks up most days. Perfect. That case is worth millions in insider information. Make sure you're photographing any documents she leaves out. I have been, Max lies smoothly. Excellent. 6 more days, Max. The call ends. Max looks at me with hollow eyes. He's going to kill me. That's why you're going to testify, Krista says. Protective custody, immunity, new identity if necessary. Agent Sarah Chen arrives at 9 p.m. with a younger agent. Chen is in her 50s, steel gray hair, eyes that miss nothing. She listens without interruption. This is one of the most comprehensive fraud cases I've seen in 15 years, she finally says. Corporate espionage, securities fraud, identity theft, money laundering. Mr. Anders' testimony alone would be enough, but combined with Mrs. Hayden's evidence, this is airtight. What about the Dubai accounts? I ask. Not easy. UAE has limited cooperation with U.S. law enforcement. But if we prove the funds were obtained criminally, we can work with Interpol to freeze them. It'll take time. We don't have time, I say. He's planning to access them November 5th. That's 6 days. Then we move fast. Chen pulls out her phone. I'll contact our legal attaché in Dubai, start flagging those accounts. Meanwhile, Mrs. Hayden, that virus you mentioned, how sophisticated is it? Very. The moment Jake logs in from an international IP, everything freezes. Your systems get automatic notification with complete transaction records. Smart. Chen looks at Bree. Can you add tracking? GPS when he triggers it? Bree's eyes light up. I can embed it in the files. The moment he downloads them, we'll have his exact location. Real time. Do it, Chen says. We'll coordinate with Dubai authorities. Over the next 2 hours, we transform my dining room into a command center. Bree embeds tracking code. Krista drafts immunity agreements. Chen coordinates with prosecutors and Interpol. I upload the poisoned files to our cloud storage, labeled among dozens of other documents. To Jake, they'll look routine. But these files are weapons. One more thing, I say to Chen. Jake's been accessing my work files. Confidential client information, patent applications. He's been using it for insider trading. How long? Based on his journal, at least 3 years. Chen's expression darkens. That's espionage. Every company whose information he stole can file charges. Every trade based on that information is securities fraud. Mrs. Hayden, your husband isn't looking at 5 or 10 years. He's looking at multiple life sentences. The thought should bring satisfaction, but I just feel hollow. This man I loved has been using me as a criminal tool for years. There's something else we should do, Krista says. Meredith, you should call Jake. Play the concerned wife. Make everything seem normal. I don't know if I can. You're a lawyer, Krista reminds me. You've negotiated with people lying through their teeth. This is no different. Except it is different. This is personal. But she's right. I pick up my phone and dial. Jake answers on the 3rd ring. Meredith. His voice is warm, familiar. How's my brilliant wife? I close my eyes and summon every ounce of composure. Missing you. When are you coming home? Soon, sweetheart. Just a few more days of meetings. I love you, I say, and the words taste like poison. I love you too, he lies. Friday morning, Max goes through his usual breakfast routine. I watch from the bedroom doorway, studying the performance I never questioned until 4 days ago. Max, I say quietly, and he jumps. We need to talk about Monday. November 5th. The day Jake thinks he's getting away with everything. Max sets down his coffee. What do you need me to do? Act like nothing has changed. Go to work, come home at the usual time. Be the perfect husband for 3 more days. I pause. But Sunday night, I need you to help me stage something. Stage what? A party. A surprise celebration. I pull out my laptop. We're going to invite everyone important in Jake's professional life, or rather, the life he claimed to have. Max looks confused. But he doesn't actually know these people. Exactly. That's the point. I lean forward. When the FBI arrives to arrest you, I want witnesses. People who Jake claimed were his colleagues. Public documentation that this fraud was systematic and elaborate. You're going to have me arrested? Technically, yes. But Agent Chen drafted your immunity agreement. You'll be in custody maybe an hour before you're released as a cooperating witness. The arrest is theater, Max public documentation. What about Jake? The moment he accesses those files in Dubai, GPS tracking pinpoints his location, local authorities detain him, and extradition begins. I show him the tracking software. We'll be watching in real time. The second he thinks he's won, he'll lose everything. Krista arrives with printed invitations, expensive card stock, elegant design. I pulled names from Jake's emails and contacts, she says. 87 people. Business associates, supposed colleagues, clients he claims to manage. Will they come? Monday morning at 8 a.m. isn't prime party time. The invitation says it's an urgent investment opportunity. Exclusive access to a new fund Jake is launching. Krista's smile is grim. These people will show up. Greed is a powerful motivator. We spend the afternoon personalizing invitations. Some go by email, others by courier. Each mentions Jake Hayden specifically, references past conversations from his fabricated files. What if some actually know Jake? Max asks. Then they'll recognize you're not him, I say. Which proves the deception even more thoroughly. Bree monitors responses. 23 confirmed in the first 2 hours. Of course, Krista says. Anyone who checks will find he has no relationship with Gideon Capital, no actual portfolio, no legitimate business presence. His entire professional identity is fabricated. Saturday passes in careful preparation. Agent Shin sets up monitoring equipment, cameras, recording devices, systems that will document everything Monday morning. We need clear footage, she explains. Clear audio. Everything admissible in court. This needs to be perfect. Max grows increasingly anxious, checking his phone obsessively. What if Jake calls? Then you give him a status update, I say calmly. Everything is fine. But Jake doesn't call. Neither does Madison. It's like they've gone dark, confident their plan is working. Sunday afternoon, Evelyn calls. I'm landing at O'Hare in 2 hours. My sister. The one who started this with a single phone call. I need you here. I need you to see how this ends. She arrives at 6 p.m., still in her pilot's uniform, and pulls me into a hug. I'm so sorry, Mare. Don't apologize. You saved my life. We sit together, and I show her everything. She listens with focused intensity. And you're sure Jake will trigger the virus? He can't help himself. He always checks our finances before major moves. It's compulsive. I pull up the tracking software. The second he does, we'll have him. Sunday night, I can't sleep. Max is on the couch, Agent Shin and her team are in a surveillance van outside, Krista is in the guest room. My apartment has become mission control. At 2:47 a.m., I get up and find Evelyn in the kitchen making tea. Can't sleep either, she asks. Thinking about tomorrow. About the moment Jake realizes what's happening. I wrap my hands around the warm mug. Part of me wants to be there in Dubai. To see his face. You'll see it through the tracking software. Is that better? I loved him, Evelyn. For 9 years, I loved him. Built a life with him. And all of it was a lie. Not all of it, she says gently. The early years were probably real. Before he decided you were worth more as a mark than as a wife. That's his moral failure, not yours. We sit in silence, drinking tea, waiting for dawn. At 6:15 a.m., Agent Shin comes through the door. It's time. Guests start arriving in 90 minutes. Mr. Anders, you need to get dressed. Play the role one last time. Max emerges, looking like a man walking to his execution. I'm ready. No, I correct him. You're Jake Hayden, successful investment banker, about to present an exciting opportunity. You're confident. Charming. Completely unaware your world is about to collapse. He takes a deep breath, and I watch the transformation. Shoulders straighten, expression smooths, even his voice drops into that Texas drawl. How's this? He asks, and for a moment, he's perfect. Perfect, I say. Now let's end this. Outside, dawn breaks over Chicago. In Dubai, it's already afternoon. Jake is probably at some luxury hotel, Madison beside him, both convinced they've won. They have no idea that across the world, a trap has been set with precision and fury. The guests will arrive in 83 minutes. The FBI is ready. And I am done being a victim. The first guest arrives at 7:52 a.m. Edward Colby, managing partner at Gideon Capital. He's in his 60s, wearing a tailored suit. Jake, he says, extending his hand to Max. His confusion is immediate. I'm sorry, have we met? Edward Colby, I interrupt smoothly. Thank you so much for coming. Please come in. We'll explain everything shortly. More guests arrive rapidly. Paul Morrison from Highland Investment Group. Sean Davidson from Mercer Financial. Marie Gideon, whose family name is on the firm Jake claimed to work for. By 8:15, 73 people pack my living room, all increasingly bewildered. People keep approaching Max expecting familiarity he can't provide. This is strange, I hear Marie Gideon whisper. I've never seen this man before. Why would he claim to work at our firm? Agent Chen is near the door, her team scattered in plain clothes. Bree has cameras recording from multiple angles. At 8:27 a.m., I stand in front of the assembled crowd. The room falls silent. Thank you all for coming, I begin, my voice steady. I know you're confused. Many of you don't recognize the man who invited you, even though his invitation claimed you've worked together for years. Confused murmurs ripple through the crowd. That's because he isn't Jake Hayden. His name is Max Anders, and he's an actor hired 3 months ago to impersonate my husband while the real Jake Hayden systematically stole over $2.4 million from our accounts. The murmurs turn to shocked exclamations. This is absurd, someone says from the back. Jake Hayden has been using your names, your firms, your professional reputations to build a fake identity, I continue. I pull up a projector screen showing documented evidence. Emails where Jake claimed to close deals with people in this room. LinkedIn connections listing him as an employee at firms he never worked for. My husband is a fraud, I say clearly. And you're all here as witnesses. Mrs. Hayden, Agent Shin steps forward, showing her credentials. FBI Financial Crimes Division. We're going to need to place Mr. Anders under arrest now. Max stands, hands already raised. Max Anders, Chin says formally, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud, identity theft, and money laundering. The room erupts. People on phones, some moving toward the door, others demanding explanations. Ladies and gentlemen, Chin raises her voice, please remain calm. You're here as witnesses, not suspects. We'll need statements about any interactions with someone claiming to be Jake Hayden. I've never met him, Edward Colby says forcefully. Jake Hayden does not work at Gideon Capital. Never has. Same here, Paul Morrison adds. One by one, the guests confirm what I already knew. Jake Hayden's entire professional life was fiction. While Chin processes the crowd, Bree's laptop suddenly chimes. He's accessing the files, she says urgently. Right now. Dubai, 5:03 p.m. local time. Everyone crowds around her screen. We watch in real time as Jake downloads the poisoned financial documents. The GPS tracker activates immediately. He's at the Burj Al Arab, Bree says. 7th floor. Precise to within 3 meters. On another screen, the virus activates. Every account Jake thought he controlled freezes. Wire transfers stop mid-process. Access denied across multiple banks in multiple countries. He's trying to log in again, Bree narrates. Access denied. Different account. Also denied. He's calling someone, probably Madison. My phone rings. Unknown number, Dubai country code. I put it on speaker. Meredith? Jake's voice, frantic. What's happening? All our accounts are locked. I can't access anything. It's not an error, I say calmly. 73 witnesses and a dozen FBI agents watch me. It's called consequences, Jake. What are you talking about? What did you do? I figured it out. Your actor, your fraud, your plan to steal everything and disappear. All of it. And now you're going to pay for every single lie. Silence. Then, you can't prove anything. Actually, I have Max's testimony. 3 months of recordings. Your journal documenting the whole plan. Surveillance footage. And 73 witnesses currently standing in our living room who can confirm you fabricated your entire professional identity. Meredith, please. Oh, and Jake? Look out your window. Through the phone, I hear footsteps. A window opening. Then Jake's voice, hollow, there are police cars outside. Dubai police, coordinating with Interpol and the FBI. You're about to be arrested for international fraud, money laundering, corporate espionage, and securities violations. I hope Dubai's prison system is comfortable. You bitch, he snarls, the facade cracking. You'll never see that money again. The FBI already froze all your accounts. Every dollar is being recovered. You have nothing, Jake. Nothing except a very long prison sentence. On Bree's screen, we watch real-time body cam footage as Dubai police enter the Burj Al Arab. The phone connection stays live as we hear doors breaking, shouts in Arabic and English, Madison screaming. Then Jake's voice, defeated, I want a lawyer. Good luck with that, I say, and end the call. The room erupts in applause. 73 people who came expecting an investment opportunity are now witnesses to one of the most elaborate fraud cases Chicago has seen. Edward Colby approaches me. Mrs. Hayden, if you ever need anything, a job, a reference, legal support, Gideon Capital is at your service. What you just did was extraordinary. Others echo his sentiment. Business cards pressed into my hands. Offers of support, assistance, connections. These people Jake tried to use as unwitting accomplices are now my allies. Agent Shin approaches with a tablet. Mrs. Hayden, we've recovered $2.3 million so far. Dubai accounts, Cayman Holdings, Swiss banks, all frozen pending forfeiture. You'll get your money back. I look at Max in handcuffs but with visible relief. At Krista, who's been my warrior through this. At Evelyn, who started everything with a phone call. At the crowd of witnesses who will make sure Jake never escapes justice. It's over, I say, and finally let myself believe it. The apartment empties slowly. Witnesses leave after statements, most still processing what they witnessed. Agent Chen's team packs equipment while Bree downloads surveillance footage. Max sits on my couch, handcuffs removed. What happens to me now? Agent Chen sits across from him with documents. You'll be processed, officially charged, then immediately released as a cooperating witness. The immunity agreement protects you as long as you testify truthfully. And after? Witness protection if you want it. New identity, relocation. Or you can stay in Chicago, your cooperation will be public record, so there's no danger. After Max leaves with federal marshals, Krista pours us whiskey despite it being only 10 a.m. You did it, she says, raising her glass. We did it, I correct her. Evelyn emerges from the guest room. I just talked to Mom. Told her everything. She's furious she didn't see through him. None of us did, I say. That was the point. My phone buzzes with an email from Agent Shin. Subject, Dubai arrest footage, confidential. I watch shaky body cam footage of Jake being arrested. He's in an expensive suite, Madison beside him, both surrounded by frozen account screens. When police burst in, Jake tries to run for the balcony. They tackle him, cuffing him while Madison screams. It's messy, chaotic, and deeply satisfying. Over the next week, the legal machinery grinds into motion. Jake and Madison are extradited to face federal charges. The list of counts is staggering: wire fraud, securities fraud, money laundering, identity theft, computer fraud, corporate espionage. I meet with federal prosecutors in a conference room overlooking the Chicago River. 6 attorneys, 2 FBI agents, enough evidence folders to fill a library. Mrs. Hayden, says lead prosecutor Janet Torres, your case is one of the most thoroughly documented frauds I've seen in 20 years. We have everything we need. What kind of sentence? Combined? Jake Hayden is looking at minimum 40 years, possibly life. Madison Reeves is looking at 25 to 30 as an accomplice. Torres slides a document across. They've both been offered plea deals. Both declined so far. They still think they can win. Jake hired expensive defense. He's planning to argue you knew everything, that you were complicit, that this is a marriage gone wrong rather than criminal fraud. The rage that flashes through me is white hot. I have documentation proving I knew nothing. We know. But Mrs. Hayden, be prepared. They're going to try to destroy your credibility. Your professional reputation might take damage. Let them try, I say coldly. I have 9 years of tax returns showing honest income. Client testimonials, case records, professional certifications. What does Jake have? Fake business cards and offshore accounts. 2 weeks later, I meet with forensic accountant Robert Kim, hired by the FBI to trace stolen assets. We've recovered $2.31 million so far, he says, showing spreadsheets. Joint accounts, Jake's inheritance, your father's trust, and about 70% of offshore holdings. What about the other 30%? Spent. Madison had expensive taste. We're trying to recover physical assets, but a lot's gone. He pauses. There's something else. We found insider trading going back 4 years. Profits total about $8.7 million. The number makes me dizzy. 8.7 million? Your work gave him access to confidential pharmaceutical research, patent applications, FDA approvals. He and Madison were trading on that information. Kim slides another document across. The SEC is filing separate charges. Every company whose information was compromised can file civil suits. Jake's legal exposure is north of $50 million. He doesn't have $50 million. No. Which means bankruptcy, asset seizure, wage garnishment for life if he ever gets out. He'll die poor and in prison. Krista handles my divorce filing. We sit in her office, Chicago skyline behind her. Grounds are obvious: fraud, desertion, criminal conduct. You're entitled to everything. The apartment, all recovered funds, plus damages. She hands me a pen. Sign here, here, and here. I sign my name 9 times, ending a marriage that was apparently over long before I knew it. How do you feel? Krista asks gently. Empty, I admit. 9 years of my life built on lies. I keep thinking about moments I thought were real. Were any of them real? Some probably were. Early on, before he decided to destroy you. She squeezes my hand. But Mare, you survived. You figured it out, fought back, and won. That's real. My phone buzzes. An email from the jail where Jake is held. He's requesting to speak with me, claims he needs closure. I delete it without responding. He doesn't get closure. He doesn't get explanations or understanding or forgiveness. He gets prison and bankruptcy and the knowledge that the woman he underestimated destroyed everything he'd built. That's all the closure he deserves. 6 months after Jake's arrest, I stand in a new office space in the West Loop, watching movers carry in furniture. The brass nameplate reads, Hayden Forensic Consulting, Marital Asset Protection and Identity Verification. I kept Jake's last name. Not out of sentiment, but as a reminder. Every time I see it, I remember what I survived. It looks perfect, Evelyn says, arriving with coffee. She's been my rock, through the trial preparation, the media attention, the nights I couldn't sleep. 3 clients already scheduled for next week, I tell her. A surgeon who thinks her husband is using deepfake technology. A tech executive whose wife might be running investment scams. And a teacher who suspects her partner has been replaced. That last one sounds familiar, Evelyn says with dark humor. The business grew organically. After my case made headlines, Chicago woman exposes husband's elaborate fraud empire, I started getting calls. Other women who suspected their realities had been edited. Men who noticed financial irregularities. People who felt like they were living with strangers. Turns out, what happened to me wasn't unique. Identity fraud in marriages is more common than anyone admits. The technology exists. The motivation exists. And now, my expertise exists to help people uncover truth before they lose everything. My first official client is Kimberly. She's 34, an architect, with shadows under her eyes. I know how this sounds, she begins, twisting her wedding ring. But I think my husband might be someone else. Little things don't add up. He passes tests he should fail. Remembers things wrong. His allergies disappeared. I take notes, the pattern achingly familiar. When did you first notice? About 2 months ago. He came back from a business trip different. Not obviously, but off. Like an actor who almost has the character down. She pulls out her phone. His sister mentions something strange. She saw him at the airport the same day he was supposedly homesick. Tell me about his finances, I say. Any unusual transfers? How did you know? Her eyes widen. Small withdrawals. Always under 10,000. I thought I was paranoid. You're not paranoid. You're observant. I pull up my intake form. Here's what we'll do. Complete financial audit, check security footage, monitor communications, design verification tests based on information only the real version would know. And if I'm right? Then we build an airtight case, involve law enforcement, and make sure you don't lose a penny. I meet her eyes. I've been exactly where you are. I know how impossible it feels. But trust your instincts. She starts crying, relief and terror mixing. Everyone told me I was crazy. You're not crazy. And you're not alone anymore. That afternoon, Krista calls with news about Jake's trial. They reached a plea agreement. Jake and Madison both pled guilty to avoid trial. He's getting 35 years, she's getting 22. No parole for at least 20 years. I'm sitting in my new office, overlooking the Chicago River. The news feels distant. How do you feel? Krista asks. Relieved. That it's over. That I don't have to testify. I pause. Did he say anything? In court? His attorney read a statement. The usual, remorseful, takes responsibility, hopes you find peace. The judge called him a predator who weaponized intimacy. Said your case represented a new category of domestic violence, financial and psychological abuse disguised as marriage. She threw the book at him. 77. He'll be 77 when eligible for parole. His life effectively over. I should feel triumphant. Instead, I just feel tired. What about the money? Full restitution ordered. Everything recovered goes back to you, plus damages. Civil suits from companies whose information he stole will take years, but you're first in line. Thursday evening, I attend my first support group for victims of marital fraud. Community Center in Lincoln Park, 12 people in a circle. I'm Meredith, I say when it's my turn. My husband hired an actor to replace himself while he stole $2.4 million and fled to Dubai. I didn't notice for 3 months. Saying it out loud still feels surreal. A man across the circle nods. I'm Paul. My wife created a fictional career for 5 years. I thought she was a hospital administrator. She was unemployed, stealing from my business. Others share stories. A woman whose husband faked cancer to embezzle. A man whose partner created a false identity with fake family members. Each story more elaborate than the last. The hardest part, says a woman named Lynette, is trusting again. How do you believe anyone after someone you trusted completely betrayed you so thoroughly? You learn to verify, I say. You trust, but you also protect yourself. You stay aware. You don't ignore red flags. That sounds exhausting, someone says. It is, I admit. But it's better than being destroyed again. After the meeting, several people approach about consultations. I hand out business cards, set appointments, become the person I wished existed when I needed help. On the drive home, I pass our old building, Jake's and mine. I sold the penthouse for $2.1 million. Couldn't live there. Now I have a smaller place in River North, just me and my work and the life I'm rebuilding. My phone buzzes. Text from Max, saw the news about the plea deal. Hope you're doing okay. I'm in Wisconsin now, teaching drama at a community college. Trying to make up for what I helped do. Thank you for giving me a second chance. I stare at the message before responding. Good luck, Max. Use your story to teach people that some roles aren't worth playing at any price. He sends back a thumbs up. The light turns green. I drive forward, toward whatever comes next. The reservation at Monteverde is for 7 p.m., but I arrive 15 minutes early. Always early now, always observing, always prepared. Some lessons from the past year have become permanent. Evelyn slides into the booth across from me, still in her pilot's uniform. Sorry I'm late. Delayed departure. Weather issues. You're not late. I'm early. I pour us both wine. How was the flight? Uneventful. The best kind. She raises her glass. To boring flights and predictable days. To boring flights, I echo. We order our usual, cacio e pepe for her, ricotta gnocchi for me. The restaurant is packed with Thursday night crowds. Normal people living normal lives, unaware how fragile normalcy can be. I have something for you, Evelyn says, pulling an envelope from her bag. It came to my apartment yesterday. Forwarded from Dubai. My hand freezes. From Jake? From the legal office handling his assets. Apparently there was one thing that technically belongs to you. She slides the envelope across. Inside is a photograph. Our wedding day, 9 years ago. Jake and me cutting the cake, both laughing. I'm wearing my grandmother's veil, he's got frosting on his nose where I smudged it. We look genuinely happy. Behind the photo is a note on legal letterhead. Mrs. Hayden, this photograph was found in Mr. Hayden's personal effects during asset seizure. His attorney indicated it should be returned to you. Please note this does not constitute communication from the incarcerated party. I study the photo, trying to remember what had been funny. The memory comes slowly. My nephew had asked if he could eat the decorative flowers, and Jake had responded with completely serious nutritional information about rose petals. It had been absurd and perfect. Or completely who I thought he was. Are you okay? Evelyn asks gently. I don't know. Part of me wants to burn it. Part of me wants to keep it as evidence that I'm not crazy, that some of it was real once. I slip the photo back. Maybe both things can be true. Tell me about work, Evelyn says, steering toward safer ground. Growing faster than expected. 2 associate investigators now, Bree on retainer, partnership with 3 law firms for referrals. I show her our website. We've handled 42 cases in the past year. 31 confirmed frauds, 11 false alarms. 31, Evelyn repeats. That's horrifying. It's the world we live in. Technology makes deception easier. Deep fakes, AI voice cloning, sophisticated fraud. People are getting bolder. I take a bite of gnocchi. But we're getting better at catching them. Any cases as elaborate as Jake's? 2. One involving cryptocurrency fraud where a husband created an entire fake business. Another where a wife hired her twin sister to replace her so she could maintain 2 relationships simultaneously. That's insane. That's human nature. People are capable of extraordinary deception when motivated by greed or fear. Our food arrives. We eat in comfortable silence. I've been thinking about Mom, I say eventually. About moving her closer. There's a facility in Evanston that's excellent. She'd like that. Being closer to you. Evelyn pauses. Have you told her about the business? Some of it. On good days, she understands. On bad days, she thinks Jake is still my husband and asks when he's visiting. I smile sadly. Alzheimer's has its mercy sometimes. We're finishing dessert when I notice a man staring from across the restaurant. Mid-40s, well-dressed, vaguely familiar. He approaches with obvious hesitation. "I'm so sorry to interrupt," he says. "But are you Meredith Hayden? The forensic consultant?" "I am. My name is Jason Reeves. Madison Reeves was my sister." The restaurant tilts. Madison. Jake's accomplice, currently serving 22 years. "I don't know what you want me to say," I tell him carefully. "Nothing. I wanted you to know our family had no idea what she was doing, who she was involved with. When we found out, we were devastated. Your sister helped steal $2.4 million from me. She participated in corporate espionage. She planned to help murder Max Anders." My voice is steady, steel underneath. "Whatever shame your family feels, I promise it's nothing compared to what her choices cost me." "I know. He pulls out a business card. "I'm an attorney. If you ever need anything, any legal support, I want to help. It's the least I can do." I take the card without commitment. "Your sister made her own choices. You don't owe me anything for her crimes." He nods, relieved, and returns to his table. "That was strange," Evelyn says. "That was guilt by association. He's probably worried I'll sue the family." I tuck the card away without looking. "I won't. Madison destroyed her own life. I'm not interested in destroying anyone else's." We leave just after 9, stepping into a cool Chicago evening. City lights reflect off the Chicago River, creating ripples of gold and white. "Walk with me?" I ask Evelyn. We stroll along the river walk, past couples and groups of friends. Normal life happening all around us. "Do you ever think about dating again?" Evelyn asks. "It's been a year. You're allowed to move on." I think about it sometimes. But the idea of trusting someone that completely again. I trail off. "How do you know they're real? How do you know you're not being studied, cataloged, prepared for exploitation?" "You don't. Nobody does. That's what trust is, choosing to believe without proof." She links her arm through mine. "But Mare, not everyone is Jake. Most people are just trying to live their lives honestly. You can't let what he did make you afraid of connection forever." "I'm not afraid. I'm just cautious. Strategic." "You're terrified," she says gently. "And that's okay. But don't let him take your whole future along with your past." We stop at a bench overlooking the water. The envelope with the wedding photo is still in my bag. Evidence of a life that once existed, real or manufactured. "What would you tell your clients?" Evelyn asks. "If they asked you the same question?" I think about Kimberly, whose husband really had been replaced by his twin brother. About Paul, whose wife's fictional career covered embezzlement. About all the people who walked into my office with shattered worlds. I'd tell them that healing isn't linear. That trust has to be earned with transparency and time. That it's okay to verify while you trust, to protect yourself while remaining open. I look at my sister. I'd tell them that survival is a victory, and everything else is bonus. And do you believe that? I'm trying to. My phone buzzes. A client email, flagged urgent. A woman in Milwaukee whose husband might be using AI to fake video calls while he's actually somewhere else. She needs help. She needs someone who understands. I have to go, I say, standing. New case. Potential fraud in Milwaukee. It's 9 p.m. on a Thursday. Fraud doesn't keep business hours. I hug her tightly. Thank you. For everything. For that phone call a year ago that saved my life. You saved your own life, Evelyn corrects. I just pointed out what was happening. You did the rest. I walk back to my car, the envelope with the wedding photo still in my bag. Tomorrow I'll decide what to do with it, frame it, file it, or burn it. Tonight, I have work to do. A woman in Milwaukee needs help. She needs someone who knows how to find truth in a sea of deception. Someone who survived and turned survival into purpose. She needs me. And I'm ready. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.